Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on the Raiders Report today, I'm going to give you guys the must-see Raiders news and the top storylines heading into NFL Week 2 action against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Now, if you don't already know this, the Chargers, they took care of business against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you didn't already know, the Raiders, they took care of business against the New England Patriots. And if you didn't know, Monday Night Football, it's actually the second Monday night game. We will be live here on the Raiders Report, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure the notifications are turned on. If you hate the Los Angeles Chargers, if you are annoyed that they go by Los Angeles because Los Angeles, LA is still owned by the Silver and Black, I need you to pull up. I need you to be ready to go. Hit that subscribe button. We had over 200,000 people join us last week. I want to get over 200,000. I want to get over 300,000 yet again. If you can't actually make it out to the game, there is one place to pull up and one place only to watch the Raiders, and that's on the Raiders Report. So let's go through here and let's look at some of the top storylines as we get into NFL Week 2. And the first one to me is, this is the battle for the AFC West. And to me, it's going to run through Monday Night Football. I know that the Broncos are 1-0. I know the Raiders and the Chargers are all 1-0. But to me, I think we're really going to learn a lot about who are the top teams in this division after this week, because I do think the Broncos have the best defense out of all of these teams. But I think easily, by far, the worst offense is also the Denver Broncos. For the Raiders and Chargers, both these teams have a shot to go 2-0. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, they might go 0-2. They play the Philadelphia Eagles in this upcoming matchup. So I look at this game and I'm like, man, this is a big time opportunity for the Las Vegas Raiders, because the Denver Broncos, they have an easier game as well. They're playing Indy on the road, but Indy also just embarrassed the Miami Dolphins in a game that it was never close. And I mean never close from the jump. So what I want to know is this. Do you guys want me to go live for Eagles Chiefs next week? And if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'm going to go live for Eagles Chiefs, because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, have never lost 3 games in a row. I was live for the Super Bowl game last year against the Eagles. They lost this past week against the Chargers, and if they lose again, that's 3 in a row. Also, they would fall to 0-2 for the first time ever with Patrick Mahomes. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'm going to pull up live here on the Raiders Report for Eagles Chiefs this upcoming Sunday, and I'm telling you this, nothing would make me happier than going live and watching Kansas City lose to the city of brotherly love. Let's go to the storyline number 2. Is Brock Bowers 100% healthy? And is he going to be ready to go against the Chargers in a late game? Now, Pete Carroll spoke to the media on Monday, and he did not provide an update on number 89. But the reason why I hit that subscribe button, when I was live yesterday, I got a text message, and I said on air yesterday that the Raiders, from what I understand, are playing it cautious with Brock. Brock wanted the return of the game on Sunday. The 2 biggest reasons why they did not do it: one, the weather conditions, the field, they were a little bit unsure with, the knee injury. Number 2, the Raiders felt good about Michael Mayer, and they felt good about how that game was going, so they didn't want to risk the extra injury. From what I understand right now, the Raiders' plan is to have Brock Bowers out there. Bowers thought he was going to be able to play and go back into the game. The Raiders ended up holding him out. Also, though, this ended up happening. It was also a little bit after the game as well. Tom Pelissero ended up tweeting that, just talked to Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, and he says he's fine. Took a little hit on the knee, came out, get checked out. No concerns moving forward. Another beat reporter, Ian Rappaport, said this: tight end Brock Bowers wanted to go back in the game after a knee injury. So Rappaport and Pelissero kind of saying everything that I heard. And the way that I'll usually do this is, I'm not saying that my sources are better than those 2 guys. Those 2 guys run laps around me in terms of sources. But the way that I want Raider fans to look at that is and go, if Mitch got a text message, and on top of that, 2 big-time NFL insiders reported the same thing, that tends to mean that it's probably true. I know that everybody was freaking out about Brock Bowers. It's Brock frickin' Bowers, right? The top receiver on our team, the top target getter on our team, arguably the best player on our team from top to bottom. And not having him does really hurt this offense. So I want everyone to take a little bit of a deep breath. I want everyone to obviously pay attention to the injury reports that end up coming out. But based on the two reports and based on what I was told, I feel pretty confident that you're going to see number 89 on Monday Night Football, home opener against the Chargers. But I want to know this because, yes, this is the Raiders report, but I always say that this is a show that is driven and predicated on the participation of Raider Nation. So these are my storylines, and my storylines are going to be different than yours. We're different people. We have different opinions. I want to know from you, what is the number one storyline heading into week 2 against the Chargers that you're paying attention to? Let me know after this YouTube ad break. Let's get into storyline number 3 now here on the show, and I'm looking at the offensive line. And my biggest question is, are we going to do anything with the O-line? And I sit up here and I go, I want to be able to believe in the O-line. And just like the Raiders made those second half adjustments, you got to hope that we make the proper adjustments this week at practice. Because Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, JPJ, and DJ Glaze all got to be better. Colt Miller is really the only player that I'll give a true passing grade to in terms of their week 1 performance. Charles Grant, Caleb Rogers, healthy scratches. Alex Kappa, will we see him? I don't know. Are we going to get an opportunity maybe to see a Will Putnam Forsythe in the future? I don't really want to see it, but to me, this offensive line just has to be a little bit more physical, and we just have to be better from top to bottom. Genty yesterday, 19 carries, 38 yards. He did have a touchdown, but he averaged 2.0 yards per carry. The craziest stat that I just heard, and I mean this, it is the craziest stat I think I've ever heard in terms of running, and this just illustrates how bad the offensive line was yesterday. Ashton Genty, 19 carries, 38 yards. You want to know how many rushing yards Genty had after contact? 44. I don't know if I've ever heard of a rushing stat where the running back had more yards after contact than actual rushing yards. He had no room to run. His first 3 runs went for 22 yards. His final 16 went for 16 yards. If we're one-dimensional, teams will start to scheme for it, and they'll start to plan for it forward. So I want to know, are we going to fix the offensive line? Because right now, that's the biggest concern that I have going into a Week 2 game against the AFC West divisional rival, going up against a Jim Harbaugh team, because it's not going to be easy for us to win games over and over and over again, even if Geno plays as well as what he did, because look at this stat. The Raiders averaged 10.5 passing yards per attempt against the Patriots, and yet rushed for only 2.5 yards per carry. What's crazy about that is Geno actually helped the rushing yards. Geno averaged 5.0 yards per carry. Between Zamir White and Ashton Genty, they averaged a 2.1 yards per carry. It's the first time the Raiders have won a game where they've averaged 2.5 yards per carry or less since 1993. I was born in 1993. I don't know how old y'all are, but the thought that that's that stat, that's how bad the offensive line was. It's also how great Geno Smith played. We just can't depend on that week in and week out. Now, I'll be very honest. I can't believe these are the Raiders' Week 1 PFF grades, because when I turn on the tape and I watched it, you should be counting your lucky blessings, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers-Johnson, and DJ Glaze, that you scored these grades. Because I can't quite believe that these are the grades that the Raiders received. Because to me, I don't know what PFF's looking at. Maybe this is just more that the Raiders did good in terms of pass blocking. But from a run blocking standpoint, I have a hard time believing that anybody was worse than this Raiders offensive line from a run blocking standpoint. Coming up next here on the show, I got 2 more storylines to follow for Week 2. And one's going to be injury related. The last one might be the number 1 biggest talked about story around the National Football League. It's definitely going to be the biggest storyline that people talk about on the national media. That I can guarantee you. Before I get into that, though, the number 1 fantasy app. You can win big, up to 2,000 times your money if you join now, and it's available in 45 states. That's right. It is PrizePicks. And this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I, we make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the Simple, best way to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. If you're trying to sign up today and roll with me all season long, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. And even when you're not 100% right, PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So this was my week 1 lineup on PrizePicks. I was able to turn $20 into $40. Unfortunately, Max Crosby couldn't get me an extra 2 tackles. It's all good, Max. Not going to hold it against you. I'm happy we got a win. But that's why I love PrizePicks, because even though I didn't go 6 for 6, I still went 5 for 6, and I was able to turn $20 into 40. If you're looking to play with us all year long on PrizePicks, that link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's go to the 4th storyline here on the Raiders Report, and it's going to be around the status of Elandon Roberts, and I'm going to be wondering it. Y'all are going to be wondering it, because to me, I know what type of game it's going to be against the Chargers. It's going to be the same game, essentially, that we went up against New England. I think it's going to be a buckle the chin strap game, and I say that like, even though I know Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense, they came out slinging the pill. And they did. They threw the ball a ton against Kansas City. But I do think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Jim Harbaugh getting to his roots, and Jim Harbaugh is going to try to be physical, and we got to be able to match that physicality. Elandon Roberts helps us do that. He is dealing with an elbow injury, and he had to leave that week 1 game with a sprained elbow. I will admit, I was hoping to get more information on it today. Pete Carroll didn't provide anything on Monday, and his return, it is TBD, and I think it depends on the severity. Now, I did mention this earlier on the live show. He's a tough player. He is questionable for week 2. One of my buddies in the medical field, I asked them, like, what do you think about a sprained elbow? And they literally told me, like, it can depend. Like, it can depend on being a 1 to 2 week thing. It can be a 2 to 4 week thing. It can be a much longer injury than that. Because we don't know the information yet, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. But I would anticipate that Elandon Roberts is not going to be 100% healthy. Maybe he has to play with a brace. The good news, though, our linebackers stepped up and really did a good job against the Patriots when Roberts went down. And I even hate to say this because I just have the utmost respect for Elandon. I think he's one of the captains of this defense. I know he's not actually a captain, but he is one of the leaders. He's a green dot linebacker, and he's a really true leader. I think he was one of the plans that they wanted to bring in for just the overall, replacement of a Robert Spillane. But let's talk about the linebackers, though, that replaced him. Jamal Adams. He was phenomenal, the highest graded PFF player for the Raiders. But the one guy that stepped in when Roberts went down was Tommy Eichenberg. And, I didn't know exactly what we were going to get out of Eichenberg. I thought he did more than okay. But to me, if you're the Raiders and you're a little bit unsure about the health of Roberts, you sit back and you go, Tommy Eichenberg was good in limited reps. Jamal Adams, I thought, was amazing yesterday, flying all around the football field. Devin White, one of the biggest winners from yesterday's game, a tackling machine with 11 tackles yesterday, and he was a very surefire tackler. Jermaine Pratt, another great performance from him. So, to me, I sit back and I go, all right, if Roberts isn't 100% healthy, you got to feel good and you got to be confident about what you saw from your linebacker group based on week 1. Could be a different monster that you're playing in terms of the Chargers instead of, the New England Patriots, but at the same time, I have learned that you got to trust this team and you got to trust this coaching staff. And I saw a bunch of veterans that people said were not good anymore prove that they are not only good, can help teams win in 2025. Let's go to the final storyline, though, here on today's show, and it's, can Geno Smith outshine Justin Herbert on Monday Night Football? I asked Google and AI earlier today, what's Geno Smith's record on Monday Night Football? They told me that he's never played in a Monday Night Football game, which I found that hard to believe. So if anybody could double check on that, that would be great. Excuse me. For me, I know Justin Herbert just beat Patrick Mahomes. I know. And he looked phenomenal doing it. And the number one storyline that the national media is going to be talking about is going to be the Chargers just beat the Kansas City Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs. Geno Smith's 1-0. Chargers are 1-0. If Geno goes in and they win that game and they're 2-0, That's the biggest storyline, one of the biggest storylines in the NFL. If the Chargers beat the Raiders on the road and they're 2-0, that's going to be one of the biggest storylines in the NFL. But to me, I sit back and I go, I know Justin Herbert. And I know the real Justin Herbert. And to me, when the lights are bright, I know that he played well against Kansas City. I get it. I get it. But to me, Justin Herbert is a choke artist. And to me, Geno Smith is somebody that when the lights were the brightest, he ended up getting it done. And I hope that we see the best version from Geno yet again, because we're going to need the better version of Geno Smith. I need the Geno with the one less turnover and turn that baby into a touchdown if we're going to beat Jim Harbaugh and if we're going to take care of business, because it's not only just the Geno show. It's also going to be a part of the Pete Carroll show. Pete Carroll is 6-5 all time against Jim Harbaugh. But for Herbert, he was spectacular. 25 of 34, same amount of throws, one extra completion, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Herbert has all the talent in the world. It's just he's never been able to put it together, and he really looked like he was able to put it together. I hope the Raiders' defense is up for the challenge. I hope Geno Smith is up for the challenge. I think that this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I am going to be hammering them more on literally everything, but to me, I also remember this stat. And Geno Smith threw for 362 yards, a touchdown. He completed over 70% of the balls, had 9+ throws of over 20 yards, leads the NFL right now. How many people remember this, though, and how elite he is indoors? The outdoor stats that you see were his 36 starts with the Seattle Seahawks before yesterday's game. His indoor starts are 14, also all on the road. This could be the very first time Geno in the last 3 years has played a home game inside of a dome, and those numbers indicate that Geno Smith, and you can go back, you can look his entire career, Geno on turf and in a dome is so much better than Geno outdoors in the rain. So I'm like, if that Geno Smith, Chip Kelly offense is what we saw against a good Patriots defense in the rain, can you imagine what it might look like in a dome in perfect weather condition? Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a high-scoring game, and I can't wait. So who do you think is the better quarterback? And you can answer this however you want. The way that I'm going to answer this is, to me, the only way that it matters. Who's going to be the better quarterback Week 2 Monday Night Football? When the lights are on. That game's a late game, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be live on this channel. Who's going to be better? Geno Smith, type GS, JH for Justin Herbert. The reason why I'm going to go with our guy, GS and Geno Smith, it's in a dome. And if that's what that offense looked like outdoors, I have high expectations that that's going to be a team that's going to be throwing the pill all over the football field. Give me Geno Smith, because I think he's cool, calm, and collected, where Justin Herbert in Las Vegas against a bunch of rowdy Raiders fans, I think you might see the real Justin Herbert stand up. Now, if y'all don't know, I am going to be live a lot this week. I'm actually live right now when I'm recording this, and I'm going to be live for Monday Night Football every game this year. So Monday, going to be a long day. If you're watching this on Tuesday morning, you're like, oh man, I didn't know you were live on Monday. I'm going to be live every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Monday Night Football game, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, depending on when you watch this, we're going to be punishing a Raiders or a Patriots fan on this channel. So make sure you pull up to our 4 p.m. Eastern Time show. And then Thursday Night Football, the Wet and Wild Raiders Friday Happy Hour style show. It's going to be absolutely, positively insane. And I can't wait to get insane with each and every one of y'all.